a story I know of an attorney who was a litigator. He was in the middle of a mediation, and his client leaned over and said, "Oh, use this case."
Hey, ChatGPT
ChatGPT
just
said this.
Wow.
Turns out the case didn't exist. And so, you know, they're I think.
Oh wait, forget ChatGPT lied.
Yes.
So what's the first app that you open in the morning?
Oh my gosh. It varies by the day.
Okay.
It's usually my music app.
Okay. What's the music app?
It's Apple Music.
Apple Music.
Yeah,
all
it's
right.
usually Apple Music. Sometimes it's the podcast app.
Okay. All right.
Unfortunately, I do like to listen to podcasts.
So who do you listen to?
So it's usually a news podcast because I don't bother to read the news anymore. I should, but I listen to it so I can like multitask.
Yeah.
Or so travel podcasts. I love to hear
Travel.
about places I want to go.
All right.
And
I wish we had more than 15 minutes because I feel like we could spend some time talking about where you want to travel.
I would
so we'll have
probably
to
enjoy
figure that out.
Mm-hmm.
We'll have to figure that out for future time together. So yesterday in your presentation, I figured out what we're going to talk about. I think I knew that you were from the Midwest, but now I know for sure. Yes. And honestly, like we have, there's something, I call it Midwestern charm.
Uh-huh.
Okay, my wife calls it by another name, but I do think that there is something there is a synergy that happens amongst Midwestern people, and so that I realize this is why I like Heather so much. So you talked about grit. So for this audience that may have missed your presentation yesterday, how does grit help you in your day-to-day life as an attorney?
So, as an attorney, the goal is always to get to the finish line. At least, hopefully, it is, right? And so, grit is all about just pushing your way through, And I mentioned yesterday, my husband calls it stubbornness. I call it grit. I've gotten bulldozer as well before.
Okay.
But the goal is really you have to get to that finish line. You try to make it work the best way you can, and I think everything in this industry is about trying to get the deals done ultimately, and so I think having that grit, that continuing to push through. It helps the deals get finalized, and it oftentimes helps them to get done faster as well, because you're not sitting anything. I hate when something's in my court. I want to get it back out again.
Yeah.
So, it just, there's never like, oh, is this going to happen? Because when you start to guess whether or not something's going to happen,
you've given up.
You give it up, or somebody else does. It's just a sense. But if you're like, look, hey, this deal is going to happen. We're going to make it work.
Yeah.
It happens. So
yeah,
that
that's
helps.
a great book called Grit. I don't know if you've ever read it.
I haven't.
It's actually a phenomenal book.
Yeah.
But it talks about all of those different things. And Patrick Lencioni has a book, The Ideal Team Player. And so when you threw out bulldozer, I too tend on the bulldozer side.
Yeah.
And so he has hungry, humble, and smart.
Uh-huh.
And if you're hungry and humble, humble and smart, you can become a little bit of a bulldozer.
I totally get that. Yes.
You just push things through.
Yes.
That's part of the self-awareness journey I'm on.
Notice how the humble wasn't there.
No. It just kind of, you're just like, but
we
I'm
lost the humbleness somewhere.
Yes. Yeah. So I'm working on it. Clearly, I'm on 3 cameras right now, so it's good. What's the one thing you wish you'd have known walking into your first ICSC? You can tell me how long ago that was, or you don't have to. But what's the one thing you wish you'd have known coming into this deal?
Okay, so my first ICSC was quite a few years ago. I really don't remember which year it was. And I mentioned this a little bit yesterday as well. As an attorney, you're used to sitting in front of your desk all day, and you've got your lane that you stay in, right? Okay, I'm going to go through page 1 all the way through page 45 of this lease, and we're going to get through it, and we're going to talk about insurance and waiver of subrogation and indemnities and all sorts of stuff. And going to ICSC is so eye-opening.
Yeah.
It really, and so I wish I had a better understanding of the whole picture. But luckily, in my first show, I got it. I remember I sat down next to a friend of mine who was an engineer, and she happened to meet up with a broker friend of hers, and they were talking, and they pulled out a site plan. And the site plan, they were talking about putting in like an ice cream shop and like a women's shoe store. And then they were, okay, well, here's this other location. Wouldn't this be great for a men's, something that men's like a hunting store or something? And I'm watching them go through this. They're like, well, we think a men's store will be good here because the wives can go over here next door. And that's something that as an attorney, we're not thinking about. And something about that conversation just it was mind blowing. I'm like, okay, this is it. Like
there's more to it.
There's so much more to it, right? And it's so important to see the whole picture, because it make, like we talked about getting the deals done, right? Like if I'm going to spend half a day arguing over an indemnity language in a lease, but then the deal doesn't get done, what's the point?
What's the point?
Right? I have a great example outside of real estate, if you'll indulge
please,
me for a minute.
Please. That's what we're doing. We just meander through this conversation. I love it.
I have a friend who's an auditor, and he audits different companies, and his job was to go through. And he went to this one particular site where the warehouse was, and he talked to the guy who was in charge of making the widgets. And this guy came to you, he was so proud. He said, you would not believe, we've done an incredible job. We've reduced the size of these widgets from $12 a piece to $10 a piece. Can you believe it? And he said, this is so wonderful. He was very, very proud of it. This is great. So he says, the auditor, he said, show me the warehouse where are you keeping these before they're sold, right? So the guy at the warehouse, he brought him over and he showed him this warehouse. It was a huge warehouse, stocked floor to ceiling with widgets. And so my friend, the auditor, he said, well, what's happening with the sales? Why do you have so many widgets? And the guy was like, well, we're sort of having an issue on the sales side. And he says, well, what's the issue? Because we're not really selling them. And so I guess the point in the whole product is if you're only seeing your lane, right? Like he was so proud. He was making these widgets for $2 a piece, but he was making trash.
Yeah.
And not only that, now they had to pay the money to store the trash in this giant's warehouse, right? So I think the same can be said for real estate. Yeah. Right? Like you need to be able to see the whole picture to really be a good part of the team, right?
Yeah, no, that's part of our what we try to do, design, document, and advise. It's the advising part, that's the part of seeing the whole picture. And we commonly try to think of, okay, what's the ultimate end game? It's to sell something or to provide some service or to do something for the community. And so what can we do between here and there that gets us to that end faster and more efficiently, not necessarily just our piece. And so I appreciate that very much. In that vein, what's the thing in the industry that you're seeing right now, whether it's in lease terms or in legal language, that you're going, all right, clearly we're not thinking about the end game here. This is slowing the process down. What's the new thing everybody's seemingly fighting for no reason?
Oh my gosh. It's weird. For me, it's not the new thing. Okay. It's the old thing.
Oh, so the we've always done it thing?
The we've always done it thing and the outdated lease forms, right? So, you've got an owner that took over a center and they're going to use the form from, the 1990s, and it still has outdated insurance language. It doesn't even call it the correct language. It may not be clear enough. Because the old forms, like if you've really seen old leases, they're like 15 pages long, right? And they worked well for back then, right? Yeah. And now they've gotten more complicated, and you can argue over whether or not that's a good thing or a bad thing. But I do see a lot of that where it's just the deals don't match anymore to what the paper is, right?
Got it.
Yeah, that can be tricky.
How many people have asked you about AI in this show so far?
Fewer than I thought.
Yeah.
I think it's because I'm an attorney and people just know that we're typically way out of date with everything.
Yeah, we're slow adopters too.
Really?
In our industry.
Yeah.
But some of the documentation from a written, I see it coming.
Oh yeah, it actually in the legal field, it's they started using AI into like a lot of our search, or like Westlaw and Lexis. They have different AI capabilities now, and a lot of times we're seeing our clients doing it. I had a story I know of an attorney who was a litigator. He was in the middle of a mediation. And his client leaned over and said, "Oh, use this case."
Hey, ChatGPT
ChatGPT
just
said this.
Wow.
Turns out the case didn't exist. And so, you know, they're I think.
Oh
they're
wait, forget
great.
ChatGPT lied.
Yes,
we were just kidding.
And of course, there are a couple. There's one famous case out of New York where some lawyers really botched up using AI. But you know, I think there's a place for it for sure.
Yeah.
I don't know about, you know. I think you have to be careful about where you use it.
Yeah, that might make sense for us to pay a little bit of attention to where we're trusting our sources. I think that's why you have all the big books.
Maybe.
Okay. A little bit of personal question. What keeps you up at night, and what gets you out of bed in the morning?
Oh, what keeps me up at night? My kids, usually. Okay. If it's like literally, I have got one that's on the computer too late. But what makes me worry? Yeah, I mean, I've got four total. So the youngest is the only one now at home. I have one that just went to UCF. So I'm always thinking about
Did you do the drop off?
Oh, I did. Yeah, because he started summer B there. So I did the drop off there, and you know,
I think I got stuck in that traffic, by the way.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, that was rough. I think as a parent, we're always, I mean, if you're a parent, you're just always thinking about, worrying about, are they doing okay? Are they not making a mess of everything? And I kind of hope that so that does. What gets me up in the morning, I really love what I do. I really do. I know that sounds so cliche, but I've got such a great team at Winderweedle. I love the people I work with. I found my people there, you know, and so I love going in. I love going into the office and checking out and, you know, coordinating and working on stuff together, and I love the people that I work with, the brokers that I work with, a lot of the people that are here. Like, I really enjoy it.
It's a great community. I'm sure that like this, I feel like commercial real estate in general is a very welcoming environment. You talked about learning early on, like somebody taking you in and kind of.
Yes. I
feel like that's everywhere, and so to find your people, I agree. I love what I do. Like, I enjoy it. What impact do you hope that you make on your communities and cities? You talked about it a little bit yesterday of wanting to make an impact. And so what do you most hope, like when somebody looks back and go, okay, this is what Heather brought to the industry?
You know, I think, you know, in the women's panel we talked about women in particular making an impact on the industry. But I think of myself just like a person, right? So I love the idea of being able to mentor young professionals in commercial real estate.
But you need more patience to do it. I
need more patience to do it.
Yes.
Yeah, I did mention that. I'm not a very patient person. I'm not a good teacher. I'm really not. I actually had one associate in our office tell me she was afraid of me when I first started. So I don't have a lot of patience, but one thing I do have is creativity, and so and I'm aware of where I lack things like patience.
Yeah.
So that's one thing I love to do is bring other associates or bring other folks to the show. And so one person did that for me years ago, and I followed her around all over. Yeah. And the ability to do that for other people, I love that I can sort of kind of give back in that way. So even someone who's not, I don't have the advantage of having the patience that I think other people do.
I think people fake it. I'm just being honest.
Really?
Like, I think that some people just fake, like, oh, I'm Mr. and Mrs. Mentor.
I don't know. I think those people are very special. I'm not one of them.
Yeah.
But I do, you know, if I can create an opportunity for someone to grow, I feel like I've done a good chunk. And so I mentor in other ways, like providing opportunity.
No, I think bringing people here, exposing them to this network of wonderful people, which thank you so much for taking time and not charging me by attorney hours to sit down. You'll send me a bill. Yeah. No, this has been great, and obviously, our Midwestern charm has connected. So I enjoy sitting down and talking to you anytime I get the opportunity, and always happy to to support you and highlight your business, because your business helps us get to deals that makes us successful also. So thank you very much for your time.
To say that. Thank you so much for the invitation.
Yeah.
And I love working with Kohachi too. Your whole team is so much fun, and you always do such a great job.
Well,
and,
thank you for that.
just very much appreciate the opportunity to be here. So
Perfect.
thank you very much.
Thank you, Heather.
All right, bye, Nathan.